Also, when I started reading up on the coffee research done in India, I mean, for example, anything you see online, World Coffee Research has very little to do with India. It has very little information about Indian varietals. It has so little. I mean, there's actually nothing there.
Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is sadly our final episode of the series, of our 5-part series. And in today's episode, as we wrap up the whole arc of exploring how we future-proof coffee production in India, it has been a fascinating discovery so far. Today, we're going to talk about the role that technology is going to play in future-proofing coffee. And I'm wondering what role you guys think technology like AI is going to play in this whole process.
Well, I don't know as an industry, but I can talk about a personal experience of mine.
Okay.
So the Indian coffee growing conditions are unique because of the shade, because of the trees. We have very little automation. Everything's done by hand.
Mm-hmm.
All the information. After we moved back to the farm in 2020, generally, I prefer doing things by understanding fundamentally why certain things happen, and the understanding the why before I actually execute. And a lot of the stuff we done on the farm level is just done just because, and just because isn't
every generation did like this before us,
and just because isn't good enough for me. So trying to read up, understand very little information is available online with regards to coffee production in India. I mean, a simple example is I was thinking of the best type of irrigation systems for Indian conditions, and especially our Indian coffee growing conditions, not just any Indian condition because it's very different. And any suggestion online was about drip, and drip fails here.
How come?
That overhead irrigation. Insect damage, the elevation, slope, all of that makes it very difficult. So we've got some very steep farms. We've got a lot of insect and animal damage happening to the drip pipes. And eventually when you have pipes running really far, then you need labor to find out
if the water got there.
What the leak is, and all of that is intensively difficult, and so eventually I went with overhead sprinklers for a small block to test, and that was probably the best way to go. Although water wastage is much higher, but it does keep the temperature down when needed. Anyway, that's again a different can of worms. But this information wasn't available online. Also, when I started reading up on the coffee research done in India, I mean, for example, anything you see online, World Coffee Research has very little to do with India. It has very little information about Indian varietals. It has so little. I mean, there's actually nothing there.
Folks, our first on-demand workshop, How to Become a Coffee Consultant, is now available for you to learn at your own pace for just €50, and it comes with a certificate upon completion. Go to mapitforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the show notes for more details. Support this podcast by supporting our sponsors.
However, I started collecting PDFs of papers published by the Indian Coffee Board, Indian researchers, and started reading them. And I don't come from a biology background, so I can't remember the jargons, I can't remember the words, I can't remember what anything means, and that was getting very stressful. So then I trained a ChatGPT model against all these scientific papers, plus notifications from Coffee Board. So hosted it on my own private server, and I ask it Indian coffee related questions, and I get potentially the best possible answer anyone could give me.
That's wild.
So, I mean, that's actually very easy, very simple to do. But I mean, that's like
for him, though.
For him, I'm like, I spend a lot of time with ChatGPT-4, but I don't think I would know how to do that.
But this is free instance, but the thing is, this is the perfect use case for something like a ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
giving localized information, but you need a large amount of it. The amount of data I had was not enough. But if this was done on a countrywide scale, for any vertical, really, any agricultural vertical or any vertical, really, you could end up having a system that really helps the growers. The only thing is now, of course, for a country like India, its language is going to be a problem in the near future. It'll solve in the next 5 to 10 years.
Have you tried it with Bard?
So Bard, you can't train Bard. Bard isn't
okay.
Bard has a data set that Google have provided, and that's it.
Okay. So can you ask it to solve problems for you? No, let me ask that a different way. Have you asked it to solve problems for you that you didn't think it could solve?
So actually, I started off asking the generic version of ChatGPT about the irrigation, and it gave me a fantastic solution of using drip, and give me step-by-step route. But again,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work here. It doesn't work here. So the way I used my trained instance of ChatGPT was mainly to access data of what to do when, and certain conditions on the plant, which I describe, and based on the data set it has, it comes back with a hypothesis that this could be wrong with the plant, and it was actually spot on. So we are having issues with an insect called the cockchafer on young Arabica block, and I had no idea what it was. We had consultants come and look and say, it's nematodes and blah, blah, blah. I couldn't see nematodes there, what he was talking about. And eventually it was like, there's something wrong with our roots. You could see it. You pull out a plant and the tap roots missing, and you're like, and then when we dug a bit more, we actually found the cockchafers, and ChatGPT said cockchafer.
So that's so cool. That's so cool. So the reason I ask this is because what I see in the world without ChatGPT, in the world out there, is that when one origin country has undergone having to deal with a problem, whether it's coffee leaf rust or it's borer beetles or whatever it is, that information isn't getting transferred to other origins that are experiencing something similar. If they experience it, let's say 5 years later. And so what I hope will eventually end up happening is that through generative AI, you will be able to somehow collect all this information and bring it all together so that it becomes something that, is there a solution out there for how to deal with coffee leaf rust in some part of the world or whatever?
The biggest issue is we are big propagators of open source. Everything we do, we release into the public domain. But that seems to be lacking in this industry.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Sharing doesn't seem to be a thing. It's very strange. It's from the grower level right up.
Coffee roasters are the same. They don't like to share their roast curves for some god-awful reason. I have no idea. This is something that has been constant for the last 20 years that I've been in the industry. Nope, I'm not going to show my roast curve because it's a trade secret. Come on, guys. It's terrible.
With farmers, it's growing. It's also processing. So we open source all our processing equipment, how we do it, why we do it. These guys hold on to the processes like it's trade secrets. It's not rocket science. You're releasing esters, man. Do you even know how you're doing it? Do you know why it's happening? These people are chucking all sort of random stuff into the barrels. It's like there's some science there, and anyone can reproduce it. Seriously.
Oh, I can see Komal's face there.
Everybody has their reasons for doing stuff, guys.
And
then they hold on to it, it's like some trade secret, like, the thing is, with the specialty industry, it is for the elite from a grower perspective as well. So what we've also been trying to do is try and make it accessible. So from documenting fermentation processes and giving to the small growers, making the fermentation cheap fermentation anaerobic fermentation tanks and giving it. Now, from a tech perspective, this is simple tech, but it's making that small grower able to basically access which he wouldn't in the past.
And I think that's really important, like at this point, to enable a lot more growers into the industry to do so that they can get better, like coming back to the point of, economic sustainability, and then they can go and help create.
Okay, but before that, even that, right? So this is fundamentally why we should be storing data as well.
Yeah.
We should be open sourcing data on simple stuff like simple fermentation techniques, how to go about it. There needs to be like a Wikipedia page for coffee, and then we can do a chat GPT, whatever around it. But you need to start really simple.
The problem with that is, I'm going to get into trouble here. You see, Komal, I'm going to get into more trouble here than Akshay is through this series. So let me make sure that happens with what I'm about to say. The problem with open sourcing all of this stuff is that people can no longer hide behind the mystery behind it. So once they open source it and once they tell people what they're doing, they can't have any secrets that are not legitimate. And what I mean by that is there are producers who are pretending that they're not using infused coffees. There are producers who are pretending that they're not perhaps messing with things a little bit more than they are. Once we start open sourcing all of this stuff and producers have to, be open and honest about what they're doing, now producers who are saying, no, these aren't infused coffees, actually they are infused coffees. And this is where the problem is.
See, this for me, coming from a different industry, this is a very weird place to be, because it's a place where nobody's understanding the fundamental issues that exist. We're all worried. If you compare this to a house, we don't care about the foundation. The foundation is falling apart, but we care about the color of the window. It needs to be yellow.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I use that analogy all the time.
So it's like, what is happening here? I mean, we need to, which is why we start looking at plants as well. Where does it all start with? It starts with the plant. We need to get that sorted. And we need to start storing data about this. So, like I said, with our Excels, our projects and stuff, everything is being documented year on year from the chemical composition, outturns, yields, everything, every bit of it, every bit of the way the estate is done is being documented. We need this data, right? And now I was talking to another grower from South Africa today. And he says, "How's lychee as a multi-crop?" And I personally don't believe in fresh fruit on the farm as a multi-cropping system. But I spoke to a few other growers who are doing it, and I gave him that data. And this is how it should work, right? Even if another simple way of using this kind of data is to see what people are growing in what conditions and what area, and use ChatGPT to analyze that and give suggestions on what other sort of crops can be grown on your piece of land. So, but all of this relies on one simple thing, that person on the ground has to basically report accurately what they're doing on the ground. And which is why when blockchain first came in, Komal was like, let's build a blockchain platform. I mean, we could have done it, but it's stupid because the point of failure is on the
data.
farm.
Yeah.
It's still going to be the point of failure. It doesn't matter how accurate everything else above is. It is the foundation is broken there.
What it sounds like also is because you are collecting the data, because it's not just you guys, the people around you, it's going to give you a competitive edge, because when you couple that data and that knowledge with generative AI, now all of a sudden what you've got is a competitive edge for solving problems when other people are not going to have that opportunity. So it's really...
I think we're passing the point of competitive edge at this point. I think if we don't do something, we're going to be in trouble in 10 years.
I agree with you. But what do we do in this environment where it could fail a lot sooner than that, because so many producers are saying, screw it, with coffee prices the way that they are, why am I doing this? Now we've inherited so much generational debt, and interest rates continue to go up. Ag loans are so expensive. And the coffee price volatility is so ridiculous that the next generation, Gen Z, are turning around and saying, it's cheaper, it's more cost effective for me to go and get a degree and feel the pain of getting a degree so that I can then go on to be a social media influencer.
That's true, but one thing I don't agree with is when a grower says, I'm switching to a different crop, right?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense because, see, we've got farms, you're moving to avocados. Now, when you have 3 avocado trees on your farm of 50 odd acres, yes, it's going to be fantastic. As soon as you do dense planting, the same issues that you have with coffee are going to come back onto your avocados. You're going to have pests. You're going to have the prices drop during harvest. I mean, this is not a solution.
No, but it makes people feel better for the short term. And that's unfortunately what's happening. A lot of. You see producers that are cutting down their trees because the coffee prices are so volatile, and that still doesn't fix the problem. So it's going to be really fascinating to see how this plays out. I do think it's incredibly inspiring the way that you guys are approaching solving this problem in India. And I really hope that you'll come back on the podcast regularly and talk about the progress.
We'd love to.
Yeah, we'd love to.
And anyone who's listening, if you do happen to be looking for somewhere to go at the end of September, Komal, give us the details again.
Yeah, so if you happen to be in and around Asia, come down to India. We're having a 5-day amazing
extravaganza.
Extravaganza in Bangalore, in Karnataka.
In the palace.
In Bangalore Palace.
Nice.
And this is the World Coffee Conference from the 25th of September to the 28th of September. And we'd love to welcome you all to come and see what we're doing here in India.
I'm so excited. I'm going to be giving a presentation during the conference, which I'm deeply honored to be invited to do. More than anything, I'm really excited to meet the coffee community. That's the thing that I'm mostly looking forward to doing. So anyone who's going to be around, please come and say hi. And before we go, 2 things. Will you guys tell everyone where they can find you online?
Yes.
Lee, before that, 1 second, can I shamelessly plug something for WCC as well?
Sure.
Please. So I'm so passionate about this one thing that we're going to have a cross-species cupping. So yeah, there may be some Xenophila involved as well. So if anyone wants to try some different species.
Yeah, come and join us for the workshops.
Perfect. And we'll include links in the show notes. I'll make sure you guys email them to me, and we'll include links to the show notes for registration and all of that. So let's do that. So where can people find you online?
So you can find us at SICC.coffee. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. Our website is all up and ready. So find us on www.sicc.coffee.
Fantastic. And to finish off the series, would you guys honor me and do peace, love, and peanut butter?
Absolutely.
I'd be honored if you would do it. Thank you so much.
So thank you for having us, though. Thank you so much. And
it's a pleasure.
Peace, love, and peanut butter.
Have an amazing rest of your day, guys. See you later. Thanks for tuning in, friends. There are 2 ways you can support this podcast. Firstly, become a paid member of our YouTube channel. Secondly, you can join our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video before you leave, and check the show notes for more information. Now, this is what you should check out next.